So we're about to go to Cividar City right now, and Nathaniel is super perky. There he is. He's totally pumped and excited to go to the amusement park. So right now we're in Branson, Missouri. It's the first time I've been here in a number of years. Branson, Missouri is kind of infamous for being an old person's Las Vegas, you know, really country, kind of cheesy, super Americana, and it's definitely all those things. I don't know, there's just something lovable about it if you look at it in a certain way. Despite all the crap that people give Branson, this trip has been pretty fun. You know, we've been able to go mini golfing. We went shopping at a 5 and 10 store.
It's a store with a bunch of junk and odds and ends and things that you don't normally find somewhere else.
Sometimes when we bring Nathaniel out in public like this, he's a great conversation starter. You know, people will come up to us and start telling their stories about their family member or friend with disabilities.
Yeah. How old is he?
He's 9. He was born at 23 weeks. So.
Wow.
He's definitely up. But he is such a delight.
So is Nathaniel.
Oh, they are.
You know, they start asking us about Nathaniel, and you know, it's a great way to share our story and share what God has done in our lives. But more than any other tourist destination in America and the world, I've been to Branson, Missouri the most, simply because of Cividar City. No exaggeration, I probably have been to Cividar City well over 100 times. When I went to Cividar City during this trip, it was the first time in well over 5 or 6 years. Cividar City is special to me because of the way that they accommodate to people like Nathaniel. They're very welcoming to people with disabilities. When Nathaniel was younger, the Cividar City would let us cut in front of everybody and ride the ride twice in a row. It was really cool. But rules and regulations have changed since then, and first they wouldn't let us ride twice in a row anymore. Evidently somebody at some amusement park died because they rode a ride twice in a row without getting off. Oops. Then they made a rule that you had to be able to hold yourself up if you're going to ride certain rides. So back in the day, Nathaniel used to be able to ride Fire in the Hole. He used to be able to ride the log flume that would go down and splash. He used to ride the Lost River of the Ozarks, which is that circle boat ride that flows around. But with all these new rules and regulations, you know, they don't let him do that, which, you know, it's not Cividar City's fault. It's just kind of interesting to see how things used to be. I remember one time, Dad convinced Mom to let Nathaniel ride Thunderation, which it doesn't go upside down, it just goes pretty fast and it's really jerky. So the entire time, to keep him from falling over completely, Dad is gripping Nathaniel with both of his arms, and Nathaniel's just laughing hysterically. But, you know, we did it once and Mom was like, that is never happening again. This time around, after many years, me and Mom, we weren't gonna try to put Nathaniel on rides that they didn't let us ride last time we were here. But Nathaniel got to ride his most favorite ride of all, which is the train. You know, there's nothing special about it. It's not super fast. It's just a train that rides around the property and goes around the park. But, you know, it makes a lot of noise and it has a loud whistle, so he has a ton of fun on it. So this trip to Cividar City was really fun. It was good to be back. But there was also this undertone of sadness, if I'm going to be honest with you guys. This was the first time in my entire life that I went to Cividar City without my dad. We would go around to all the rides and Mom would stay behind with Nathaniel and Dad would ride with me, and then Dad would stay behind with Nathaniel and Mom would ride with me, and then Dad would help us move Nathaniel around the entire park and pick him up and to get him into all the rides that he could ride on. I miss my dad. It's just things like that that make me wish that he was still here. It's trips like this, it's moments like this of fun and nostalgia that make me look back on my childhood where Dad was always there, and it makes me wish that things were still that way. When I found out that Dad died, there was this great sense of fear that overcame me. Back in October when I first found out. It was fear for the future. Who's going to be there to take care of Nathaniel? You know, who's going to help us? Who's going to be there to make sure he has all his needs provided? Who's going to be there to move him around and navigate him, you know? So when I found out Dad was gone, you know, that foundation that I looked to was taken away. You know, it's like, now where do we turn to? The super stereotypical Christian answer is, you know, turn to God. He has it. And there's not a doubt in my mind that God has everything under control, but that's easier said than fully realized. There's a lot of fear and anger in today's culture, and that unfortunately sometimes that infiltrates the church. There's plenty of things for one to be fearful and angry about. For me, it's the loss of my dad. For others, it's the depravity in today's culture. For other people, it's ISIS chopping off Christians' heads and blowing up buildings. I mean, there is no shortage of things for people to be angry and fearful about. But that's not the thing that we're called to be. We're not called to react with fear and anger because, for one, that's unbiblical. And for two, when people are afraid and angry, they do stupid things and they say stupid things. Here's the deal. The future can be a very scary place. This world can be a very scary place. And it's super easy to respond with fear and anger. But that is not the way of Christ. The love of God, the love of Christ, if it truly impacts you, it won't give you a spirit of fear or a spirit of anger, but it'll give you a spirit of love that is a response to the kind of love that you receive from God. I struggle with being afraid of the future. I struggle with being angry at the situation that I'm in, to where I have to live life with my family without my dad. I have to help take care of Nathaniel without my dad. I'm going to butcher this Lord of the Rings quote, but it's like what Gandalf says to Frodo. We can't choose the things that life give us. We can only choose what we do with it. So in response to the future and anything else that could cause me to be afraid or angry, I want to respond with love and courage. I want to respond with love and courage that surpasses understanding. I want to respond so much with love and courage that people think I'm weird. Because like, how can you be so joyful during this situation? How can you be so loving right now? I want it to surpass human understanding because I'm so full of Christ's love. I'm not there yet, but I'm working on it. All I know is that I'm saved because of Jesus, and all that's left to do is to live life with God and do my best to accomplish His will for my life. And right now that means helping take care of Nathaniel and the rest of my family. And ultimately, my true foundation was never in my dad. My foundation's in God. Dad was never the ultimate provider, God was. Dad was never the ultimate caretaker, God is. And so, since we still have God, we're going to be okay. No matter what this world gives me, no matter what happens to me, no matter what happens to Nathaniel or the rest of my family or whatever, I know that I'm going to be okay because I got God. Regardless of the situation, I want to encourage you to choose love and not fear. Before you make a decision, respond, am I acting out of love and joy, or am I acting out of fear and anger? It's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to be comfortable. Regardless of wherever you're at in your life, I just want to say that God has you. He knows about the situation. He knows about you. He loves you. You know, He wants to be a part of your life and take care of you. So let Him.